Welcome to a Second Chance at Life podcast. I'm your host, Arvilla Beckworth, and welcome to another episode. Today, I want to go a little bit further for my high functioning depression. The last few weeks, we have been speaking about depression and its impact. Well, one of my girls actually went through it. Not only is she a motivational speaker, a podcast host, and an event producer, she's a mom, she's a woman, and she goes through things just like we do. Let me bring my girl on, LaKisha. LaKisha, girl, how are you? How are you?
I'm great. So excited to be here. Thank
Me
you.
too. Me too. And I thought this topic was fitting for you because you are an advocate for mental health.
Yes.
So this is nothing new to you. You are definitely going to be true to this subject,
Yes.
not only by experience, but because you also advocate for it.
Right.
Well, I want to get started with just giving you your flowers. You're a woman that always shows other women how to put themselves first. Despite
Thank
what's
you.
going on, you preach and you teach your message. You don't just talk about it, you go through it.
Yes.
And I love the fact that you can encourage us as women and you also bring us together as a community. You show us that together, whatever the issue may be, we can combat it together, especially as Black women. And I love the fact that you do that.
Thank
you so much for putting all the many events that you do, for reaching out to new inspired business women like myself that's just trying to get their feet wet. And you still reach back down to us to give us a chance to speak and be on your platform. So,
well, thank you. I'm honored that y'all are there. I think sisterhood is it means something, and it shouldn't just be said in word. It needs to be said in deed.
yes.
And so if we say we support other women, we have to actually support other women. And so for me, it's like not only is it about my platform, but it's also about you putting me before your platform. You get to say, hey, this is the event I'm on, and it exposes me to other people, and therefore we can collaborate and really help grow each other's businesses.
Right. But please tell my listeners a little bit more about you.
Well, mom, grandma, business owner, but also an experienced depressive. So I have just recently over the past couple of months been diagnosed with persistent depressive disorder, which means you're depressed and you don't even know, and you're high functioning. And then you realize it when you crash. And so for me, just recently, this last crash was really scary. But I love what I do, producing online events, and now moving more into the space of coaching people in this business and less client work. So yes, I'm excited.
As we begin today's episode, you've always been an advocate of mental health, especially for Black women. Every year you put on My Mind is My Business Summit, where different people come on and share their knowledge.
Yes.
What is the reason behind that?
2020 was, it was horrible. We had not only a global pandemic that took over the entire world, not just the United States, but the entire world. And then we had Mr. George Floyd, whose life was taken before our very eyes. And we began to see racism on a different level. For us, we've always experienced, we always knew what it was. But then the other folks were like, oh my gosh, this is bad. This is horrible. What are we going to do? Well, we've been screaming this for years, but y'all wouldn't listen. And so I launched the series Black in America, and it was a racism series where I brought on people from different aspects, HR, influencers, a mixture, a diverse group, white and Black together. And we sat at the table and we talked about what racism looks like in those particular industries. And the last one that I did was mental health. So I brought on some really amazing mental health professionals. And the conversation was so good. People were like, okay, so where are we going with this? Because this was good. Like, we need to keep talking about this. And I'm like, okay, well, you do events. Like, why can't you do one for yourself? So I reached back out to them and was like, hey, if I hosted an event, would you be a part? And they was like, absolutely. We had fun. We enjoyed it. Like, we actually went over the time because it was so good. And so I decided, like, okay, well, I'm going to do it in October. October's World Mental Health Day. So I'll do it in October. And then the following year, I'll just go back to May, which is Mental Health Awareness Month. And so I was scared. I had no idea, like, how it was going to work. Although I was doing this for clients, and I just launched it. We figured out it was really geared toward entrepreneurs, women, Black women entrepreneurs. And so that's who we targeted. And it's just been the same thing ever since. This year, I think I tried to be more diverse, and I was not happy with the outcome of it. So, yeah, I'm going to stick with my folks.
And I remember back in August of 2022, you actually did a video regarding your own mental health and your struggles. Now, you talked a little bit about it in the beginning of this episode, but would you just mind going into detail about what you discovered back in August?
Yeah, so August was pivotal. It was my birthday month, also my mom's birthday month, and my grandson's birthday month. But prior to that, I had not been feeling like myself. I thought I was just tired. I thought it was so much going on. When I say 2022 has been a shakeup, it's been table flipping, chair removal, like all kind of stuff. Relationships that I thought I had weren't what they were. It was just a total shakeup for me. And I think compounded upon, the pressures of being a business owner, a Black business owner, a Black woman business owner, like it just piles up on you. And so I just began to feel physically ill, like aching, like chronic pain all the time. So I went for my well woman visit, and I'm thinking like she's going to just, tell me, something that's wrong. Like, you have this, you have that. And so, they ask you these questions, these mental health questions, like, how do you feel, blah, blah, blah. And I'm just answering, like, not paying attention. She was like, I need you to look at me. And I'm like, yes. And she was like, you're severely depressed and you need to get to a therapist right away. And I was like, what? Are you serious? Like, is it that serious? And so booked an appointment immediately. Have an amazing therapist. He is amazing. And he began to uncover some stuff, and he was like, yes, you have persistent depressive disorder, which means you struggle with depression, and sometimes you don't even know that you're depressed. You keep going. And he's like, now we have to figure out ways to combat that. Like, we have to figure out ways that you are aware of it and that you don't keep going and push yourself. And I was telling someone, like, I felt better before finding out than I do now, because now I have to sit in those feelings and I have to process them, and then I have to act on them. And then I have people that hold me accountable for inaction and action. And so it was eye-opening. It was scary. I began to question my existence. Like, why was I here? Like, God, if you took me, nobody would care. Nobody would miss me. Why am I here? What's the purpose? I've not accomplished much, or I haven't reached the accomplishments that I have. It was just a really dark place. It's so dark, it's scary. Like, it scares me now to even think about where I was. And so people who know me, that like call themselves trying to motivate me and push me, it really just pushed me deeper in the hole. It's almost like going into a bubble. And I'm in that bubble because I want to be protected. Your way of bringing me out of the bubble is not to motivate me to go to work. It's to help me process why I'm in the bubble. What triggered me to go in the bubble for protection? And so it was really dark. It was really bad. I actually had to reveal it to my family. So like I told my daughter, I told my brother. Those are people who hold me accountable. Hey, if I stay in this bed for 2 days, we got to talk. You need to, hey mom, we need to talk. Hey sis, we need to talk, or something like that. So it was strategies he helped me put in place to just really move past it. And then it was like, okay, so now Now you need to talk about it. You need to tell other people because you ain't the only one.
Right.
You're not the only woman out here who feels this way. We wear a lot of hats. And sometimes we cannot take those hats off. But we put ourselves deeper in a hole when we continue to operate in a dark space. You know, y'all saw me. I was skinning and grinning on IG and was dead inside. Like literally dead inside. Not motivated, didn't want to move out the bed, would sit at my computer, not be focused, be unproductive. And I'm just thinking like, well, maybe I'm not in the right space anymore. Like it makes you just question all of these things when really you just need either, you know, therapy and medication, or you need therapy. Like you need to figure out what's going on with you.
And when you went to the doctor, did he tell you like the stage, like you're in the beginning stage of depression, middle, high?
I was severe.
Severe. Okay,
I was
so
high
he's at
level.
The highest level.
Yes, I was high level because it was years of it, and how they determine it is so weird. I don't even know how. I think it was a lot of questions about what's occurred. How do I feel when these things occur? When did these things start? And some stuff had stemmed back from childhood.
Oh, wow.
Like things I didn't even realize that I was angry with my mom and dad about. Things that I had harbored from a kid with interactions with other people. Like it makes you dive deep. But one thing it does bring awareness to is when you started wearing the mask. When did you at what age? And for a lot of us, we started like early on. We started when people either said something about us or we didn't want to appear a certain way to people. And so this mask begins to get layers on top of layers on top of layers. Right. And before you know it, you don't even know who the hell you are. You have no idea really who you are. And you put on a facade for so long. Yeah. It's like you don't even know how to break it. And it really takes prayer and a really good therapist and journaling and meditation to come out of it, because the mask is protection.
Right.
I ain't got to be vulnerable and be naked before you because the mask is covering me up. But now, because you know these things about yourself and you want to be authentic, you can no longer hide.
Wow. And with that, we all go through seasons of not feeling good, maybe even sadness, just kind of the funk. Usually after a while, those feelings kind of go away because we either done some type of self-care.
Right.
We've done, meeting up with some girlfriends. But when did you know that this was no longer a temporary feeling? What you were feeling, how do you know you just couldn't shake it off?
None of those things satisfied me. Nothing motivated me. So like if work fell through, if I didn't, secure this client, nothing motivated me. I didn't even care. It was like, oh, so like, people will say, well, if you don't work, you don't eat. That didn't bother me. It got no reaction from me at all because it was of something to me, I guess, not that it wasn't of importance. It's really kind of hard for people to understand. In a sense, it's like almost someone that's paralyzed. Because you are gripped by fear, anxiety, and all of these things. So even a paralyzed person says, although I can't feel anything, I feel heavy. I can't move my arms, but my arm is heavy to me. It's sort of the same thing. I just noticed that, hanging out, talking on the phone, text, the things that I once enjoyed, not to say I no longer enjoy them because you still put on that front and that mask. But it didn't alleviate the mood. You didn't feel any better. So like you get a euphoria of, oh, I feel good. Yeah, this is a good day. And then before you know it, you're back to like, okay, I feel like crap. This sucks. Everything sucks. I'm in this bad place, blah, blah, blah. Like it doesn't stay for very long. Whereas now when those thoughts come and I practice what I'm being taught, right, the feeling lifts, and then I can go about my day and I can be really productive and things like that. So it was a different, it's a heaviness. It's like You know how the cartoons show the characters with like it's sunny, but there's a cloud
Cloud.
over them.
Yes.
It's the same thing. It feels like the same thing. Like it's just directly on you.
Now, in doing my research on PDD, some of the symptoms, like you said, included loss of interest in normal activities, lack of concentration, feeling inadequate, and being irritable.
Yes.
What are some of the symptoms you experienced?
All of those.
All of them? Okay.
All of those, especially, I think I would say loss of productivity and probably inadequacy were the hardest. Because again, I began to question my existence. Like, why was I here? Nothing was getting done. I didn't feel like producing anything. I didn't feel like doing anything. It was like people would pitch ideas to me, and I'm normally the one. I'm an executioner. Right. Like I move, but I was just like, "Oh, that's nice," or just nothing, like nothing at all. I just wouldn't do anything. But I think those were the two. Yeah. Those were the two that hit me really hard.
And when you talked about your support system, now on a couple of previous episodes, I had a guest and I asked her the same thing. How can we teach our family members to recognize the sign that, one, we are going through something, but at the same time, be okay to ask you? Because sometimes, somebody keeps asking you stuff so many times, you do become irritable. Leave me alone. I'm good. I'm fine. But what can we teach our family members or friends? What is the safest way to approach us when we're in this space?
We definitely have to educate them on what type of depression we have. Okay. So you have to really educate them on it, but they also have to be open. So like I had people in my space who, anytime I would bring it up, didn't really care to hear about it. There was no further conversation about it. So that person is not a part of your tribe that you can talk about. Now, I'm not saying you dismiss that person or whatever, but you just know that's not a trusted person that you can have that's going to help you in this fight, this battle, or whatever it may be. But you have to be open to say, this is what this is. This is what it looks like. And if you see certain behavior, call me on it. So like my brother is one of my biggest supporters. Like we're super, super close. We talk almost every day, every other day. So if it's 2 days and he doesn't hear from me, or if he texts me and it's dry responses. So like, that's another thing. Like right. you kind of keep people at arm's length because you feel so down and you don't want to be bothered. Well, that's when you could be sinking into, depression, going into the hole. Because again, the bubble is protection. Right. I'm safe in the bubble, but also there's no accountability. There's no productivity. There's no focus. There's nothing good that comes from the bubble. And it's also a false sense of protection because you ain't really protected because you got to come out and live life. Right. In that sense. So you have to really let them know what you need. And be open to and okay with that. Some people ain't gonna meet that need. Some folks it's just not in them. They're either focused on themselves or it's too heavy for them to take on. Like they can't deal with it. But you need a support. You definitely need a support system with this. You need somebody that you can say, today is not a good day. Today is not good. That can help you break down why, and they're not therapists, of course, but they're there on a level that's like, I care about you and I care about what you're going through and that this is real. Because some people don't believe it's real. Some people don't believe it is what it is, and the bad part is most Christians that do that. It's really harmful to people, especially when you grew up like I grew up, Baptist, preacher's kid, a lot of us take our lives because nobody understands what it's like, and you can't talk to them because they're going to throw Bible verses at you, about how you aren't really depressed or how you shouldn't feel depressed and all of those things. So you really, it has to be a select group, Arvilla, to be honest with you. It really has to be a very select group of people who will just call you on your stuff. but also won't judge you because you had a day that wasn't good, or you had 2 days that wasn't good.
Right.
But they also gonna be like, okay, now this day too, come on, we need to move. Like, what is it gonna take for you to, get moving, and do it in love?
Do it in love, yes.
Yeah.
And with high functioning depression, the people that I've spoken with that do have it, they state like, I didn't even know I had it because I was still doing my daily duties. I mean, me working and continue to press forward never triggered that I was going through something that, maybe I should take a step back and get some help.
Right.
And they kept saying, we never noticed because we are working is what we do. So
Right.
it's almost like it was everyday life, or it was something they were used to doing. So it's never thought of as P.D.D or high functioning depression.
Right.
It's like, this is what I do.
Right.
But then they kind of start to feel, like you said, feeling not motivated, and the joy wasn't there, but they still did the production work. And a lot of them were coaches. So it's like, you still have to come on social media, be present with the mask, and still be in front of everybody else. But when you left, behind closed doors, you were dealing with your own battle.
Yep.
And, as coaches, like I said, you do have to come on, be the, hey, good morning, this was going on. But then back, you're struggling as well.
Yeah, exactly.
What advice can you give to, like you said, our entrepreneurs, our women that are coaches that are kind of battling it, and when to say, hey, enough is enough, let me go get checked out?
Right. First of all, give yourself permission to not be okay. We historically, as Black women, have taken on, not always by choice, but we've taken on a lot more responsibility than we actually should have. The country was on our back, basically, birthing the kids, raising the kids, even some that wasn't even ours, So I feel like historically we teach our children that. Who knows how far back it goes in my family, but I never knew what self-care was until it was me. My mom never did any of that. She made it happen. And so I'm like, if she could make it happen with even less than what I had, that we put those things on ourselves, number one. We have to give ourselves permission to be okay. And we have to also give ourselves permission to let others know that we are not okay. When I posted that video sharing what I had been struggling with, there was fear. It was like, people gonna think I'm crazy. Clients ain't gonna want to work with me.
Right.
But I didn't know how that video affected other people, to where they were like, you just freed me, or you gave me permission to share this with somebody. I use this video as a backdrop or a segue into a conversation with someone else. I think you have to be very clear with your clients that it's a new normal for you. I mean, heck, COVID provided a whole new normal. And I think that's when a lot of us really kind of felt this pressure that we always felt, because we had to be alone. You had to be by yourself. You had to think of, these thoughts that they couldn't go nowhere. Noise drowns out sometimes the realness of what really happens to us in life. And that's why we're able to stay masked up and keep going. But when you sit in silence by yourself, it's some ugly stuff that come out. It's some stuff that you don't like to deal with.
Right.
And it could trigger, some stuff. So I just had conversations with the clients that I had left, like, this is where I'm at. And so there could possibly be days that you reach out on Slack and I not respond. If it's beyond that, contact somebody on my team. Or, just preparing them that it's a difference. I went from meetings Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday to one day. I only do meetings on Wednesday. That's all I can mentally handle.
Right.
And then as I began to continue this journey of healing, clients bothered me. Client work bothered me. And so it was like, okay, so what do you do? Because that's like your bread and butter. What's the next thing you're going to do? So you have to also be okay with transitioning and pivoting into another space, because as you get to know the disease better and you get to tap into like your new normal, what it looks like, things for you will change. You know, you may want to change something and do something totally different. And I will say too, I think with this, there's a fearlessness that comes with it, because like some of my social and stuff, I would have never done. Mm-hmm. Period. Like I wouldn't get on there and dance and have fun and sometimes do reels with cursing in it. Like that wasn't me. But now I don't care. I don't care. Yeah. Like I don't care. It's like the cuckoo-ness really comes out, you know, in a sense, because there's a freedom. You don't have to hide anymore. You don't have to hide. You can be you, and either you like me, cussing, loving Jesus, or you don't.
And when you talk about your healing journey, what were some of the things that you use? Because I know you spoke about journaling.
Yes. Extensively journaling. Like I have written journals, I have digital journals, I have a digital journal that I can write in on my iPad. Lots of prayer, definitely, but also being in tune with my body. So like I had this chronic back pain, like that would not go away. And then as I began to meditate, so like I use the Balance app, meditate, change diet a little bit, as well, which I could do a lot better with the diet as well too, but changing some of those things, getting out, you know, being around people. I'm just not going to go out all the time, but I do realize the importance of getting out, like getting from these four walls and being into another environment. I say like whatever like used to make you feel good before, if you can remember it before you masked up, go back to those things, you know, like hanging out or going out, having phone calls, or, you know, whatever it may be. So for me, journaling was huge. Journaling was huge. I would say that was really, because it's sometimes we trigger because we hold the thoughts. Whereas if you journal, you're still getting it out. Yeah. It's out there, and you can decide what you want to do with it, you know, beyond that. So journaling, having fun, like watching the ratchet shows, like having a day where you just like do absolutely nothing. Okay. You know, that's helpful to me. It was really helpful to me because it got me back to me. Again, we get on social media. Oh, I don't watch them shows. They ain't good for you. No, it's a good release because I'm laughing at these idiots over here. You know, when you think your life bad and they stuff just as raggedy or worse. You know what I'm saying? So right. A guilty pleasure you have, a release, and laughing. Yeah. Laughing. Like a good, hard belly, tears rolling down your face, laugh.
Okay. So laughter is the best medicine, journaling, hanging out, getting out.
Yeah.
You know, just remember who you were before the mask was on.
Yep. Yes.
Okay. Because I know sometimes it's not easy for everybody to automatically get to a therapist, whether financially or still not ready to get to a therapist. So I just wanted to kind of give them something to start with. Now, by no means, I'm not saying don't go to a therapist because you got a journal and you're going outside. Please, if you have the means, even if you don't have the means, do the research and find out if there is free therapy somewhere with your job, through Medicaid, do your county, whatever. But be aware that there is help available. There's support groups, there's therapists, there's counselors. But make sure that you are finding an outlet. Don't, like LaKisha said, don't stay in the bubble. Please. Find that outlet, reach out for the help, and get what you need.
Yeah, you have to. And there are a lot of apps now out that really help with that. So even before I created my community, you know, there's a bunch of other ones that some are paid, but some are free, like Bloom. There's one that's called Me, and they are like really cognitive based therapy. Still not a replacement for a therapy, but I think it's something that you can use that brings you into mindfulness. So what is happening to me right now in this moment? Let me write it down.
Right.
You know, so they do have some of those apps that, you know, kind of help you with that. And I know Aspen Coaching is one. It's mental health based. They have like videos, even a planner and a journal that you get with the membership. I think it's $10 a month.
Oh, that's not bad. Okay.
For it, which isn't bad. Honestly, I like it. I have it. And then Alchemy is one. It's a brand new one. It's Black. It's for people of color.
Okay.
Really good therapists. Some top therapists, like people we see on TV and stuff like that. You know, that, you know, really intrigues people. So I would say if you can't afford to, or you can't get to a therapist right away, at least tap into some of those resources. Of course, do your research.
Yes.
Headspace is another good one. Balance is one. Balance is actually giving people like a year for free. So you can really, and it's through meditation, and that really is helpful as well.
Okay. And also, as you talked about your community, let my audience know more about the new community things you got going on.
Yes, so I'm so excited about Mind Your Business, because I feel like there, as much as we talk about it, we don't talk about it enough. And there really is no safe space to really like talk about these things where there's a level of understanding. Like people don't give you the freedom to do that. Like it's pattern of, you can only talk about this, you can only talk about that. Right. And so I partner with Learning to be able to create a microsite that talks about mental health. And so I teach different things or talk about different aspects of mental health. And each segment is like in 30 seconds, because we really can't retain a lot of stuff at one time. Whereas this helps me create series in 30-second bursts. And you can even respond to me via video, audio, or by text. And so I'm really excited about growing that in correlation with my Mind is My Business, because we started that conference to have a space for entrepreneurs to talk and share and get the information. So now let's take these people who, y'all gave me the information. Arvilla told me about the routine. She told me about self-care. So let me put this into action over here in this community where I can share with somebody like, I'm not feeling my best today. What can I do to help? Can I get help? You know, and then there's like, I'm creating learnings where there's a resource tab. You know, if you need information on, you know, this or that or this or that. I really want this community to be free flowing, but I also want us to know that a lot of the stuff we struggle with, we don't have to struggle alone.
That's true. Yeah.
And a lot of stuff is preventable. Suicide is preventable. You know, having mental crashes are preventable, but if you have to let people in, well, people also have to be open, right, to the fact that there could be an imbalance for someone, and I need to be there and help them.
And also, would you mind talking about the event you have coming up in December as well? Because I want to make sure women have enough time to sign up.
Yes. So that we are releasing that, and I think in 2 weeks, that registration page. So after the dust clears and the cloud lifts, it's like, okay, girl, so what are you going to do now? And I'm like, since my target market to me are Black women, Black women business owners or entrepreneurs, we don't practice wellness. Right. And not just wellness in, oh, let me go to the spa, let me go get my nails done. Like, we don't practice wellness emotionally, mentally, nor physically. And so I was like, I want to do a wellness summit. And I want to do something that's like restorative and refreshing. So I decided to name it Refresher. So it's the Refresher Wellness Summit, 3 days, jam-packed with amazing speakers such as yourself. We're going to talk about overall wellness. We're going to talk about mental wellness, emotional wellness, but we're also going to talk about physical wellness. So we're going to have some yoga. We're going to have workouts. We're going to talk about superfoods and juicing. We're going to talk mentally. We're going to dive deep. We're going to talk about relationships. You know, what's a good relationship? When you need to walk away, male and female. Right. We're going to talk about what is wellness. Let's define what wellness is. What does self-care look like on a minimal schedule? Why we feel like it has to be over the top. This is how you can start doing it. So I'm actually looking at making a series out of it.
Okay.
So doing refresher. So now you're refreshed, and then now we're going to go into heal her. So next year we'll go into a healing summit where we're going to talk about some of those things we did and refresh her. But now where's the healing, the spirituality? How you come into oneness with whatever you serve. I serve God, but whatever your higher power is, like, let's tap into, what that is. Because I think sometimes we scratch the surface and then we leave the rest hanging. And then we wonder why people so messed up. You just give them a little bit. So we want to keep going with it. So I'm excited. I can't wait. We're finalizing some details.
Okay.
It's going to be speakers. We'll have vendor booths in there, infusing, a little bit of pre-recorded and live, with commercials, resources for people to have. Because the thing is, we can bring the information to people, but if they don't know where to go get it from. So if you telling me that I could create a routine, so how?
Right.
Templates that you may have, an app that you may recommend to help people. So those are the things that I really want to bring to us, because I think that's a lot of the problem is that it's not that people don't want it. They don't know where to go and get it.
They don't know. Right. That's it. And I think it's coming at the perfect time with it being at the end of the year.
Yeah.
So now you're getting the tools you need to go into 2023 with, knowing that, okay, now that I'm trying to refresh myself, how can I keep this going for the next year? So I like how you're incorporating so much stuff now. So let's talk about it now. But these are the steps that we can do moving forward. So not only you got this, you got mine, my mind is my business coming up in May. So you are actually now telling women, hey, I have the tools.
Right.
I'm telling you my community. I'm telling you my platform. I'm telling you what I have up and coming. So there is really no excuse why you can't say, well, I don't know where to go. I don't know what to do.
Exactly.
I don't know who to talk to.
Right.
No. You just put it out there for everybody to hear that. Ladies, understand, when you hear people talk about different events, whether you support them or not, I want you going into the new year being more supportive of these events that are coming up, because a lot of them are free or a low dollar amount.
Yeah.
Please take advantage of these seminars, these conferences, these speakers, because obviously you're not the only one going through something. There's a community of women that are willing to share what they've been through without judging you going through your own thing. And if you haven't had any personal development or mental development, now is the time. It's time to take, like LaKisha said, take the mask off, figure out what's going on with you, and let's start healing for reals now. Let's stop play, and let's start healing.
Exactly. And you should want the healing to occur in a way that you can kind of control.
Yes.
Because if you spaz out and lose it publicly, now it's just not worth it to me, honestly. Just do the work to get better and to want to do better. And I want to not just be talking about that. I want to provide resources. And so I decided, after that, every month, starting, next month for sure. Well, we did one this month. We did something for World Mental Health Day. But every month there'll be a free workshop on something relative to mental wellness. So next month we'll be doing one about caring for your mental health during the holidays, because this is a really critical time for people.
Good one.
It's really critical, and we got to get stuff before stuff happens, know? So I felt like even November kind of was late to me to talk about it, but I felt like we could talk about it definitely with Thanksgiving coming up, Christmas, New Year's. Those are really hard times for people who struggle mentally, but who also get triggered by the holidays because of death in families and stuff like that. So every month there'll be like a free workshop. We're going to talk about different stuff. We're even going to talk about stuff that affects children and teens. They struggle mentally as well. And so we can't leave them out. The men, we're going to talk about those things. And all of my conferences are always free. there's always a free access ticket. Now, you may not get all the goodies,
Right.
that the people who pay for a ticket get, but I want it to be accessible for everybody.
I love that. Yes, I love that. I love that. And you've always given that, like you said, that free aspect. You always giving people access to get to it. But
Right.
if you want the real deal, you may have to cut back Starbucks. You may have to cut back on the nails to get to the free access, but it's going to pay you hand over hand in the future. Once you get this paid knowledge, even free knowledge, you're going to reap the benefits from this years on end.
Yes.
So don't worry about the cost. Really, if you're serious about getting your mental health in order, cost should not be an issue.
Right.
So just understand this is an investment in you, and start learning to do that. Invest in you.
Yes.
Stop investing in everybody else's social media. Stop investing in everybody's hair care, nail care. Start investing in you. Start taking you back and saying that I am worth my mental health. I am worth this training. I am worth this and that. So yeah, thank you for always providing the free platform, but also giving us more if we want it.
Yes, definitely. Yes, I think it's important to give back in that sense. And even the free option, I mean, even the paid option is like affordable. To some, like, it's affordable. And I feel like y'all are such amazing speakers. Like, at some point, you have to pay for something. Mm-hmm. Like, you can't get it all for free.
Right.
I mean, even think about us as business owners. Like, yeah, we collab, but we wouldn't really necessarily patronize each other's businesses without respecting the fact that you deserve to be paid. And so, although I always want to provide an option, for people to attend for free and get, the live version of it, if you want an investment of all of the goodies that you all are providing, but also, having lifetime access to the replays and stuff like that, like, you should want to do that.
Definitely. It's a must to have in your toolkit. So yeah, ladies, think about it. Like you said, we got it coming up in the next few weeks. If you got to start stacking some coins, put them in aside for it. Definitely be prepared. And LaKisha, last but not least, please tell my audience where they can connect with you online.
Well, I'm on all social media as LaKisha M. Mosley. I hang out on IG a lot more than Facebook. I used to hang out on Facebook, but it's just gets on my nerves. Like, it gets on my nerves. And I'm, venturing on to TikTok a little bit. But IG is where I hang out a lot, where I share stuff about, mental health. And I try to make fun of it. Not that it's a funny thing, but I try to bring some humor to it, because sometimes you look back and you laugh at, yourself, like, or you laugh at the fact of, okay, I just was depressed yesterday. Now here you come again. Yeah. Like, not today. I'm not giving it to you today.
Right.
Like, doing those things. And so, not that I don't take it serious, I just feel like my treatment doesn't have to be so stoic and it's so serious. Like, I can have fun sharing with you that, yes, I'm clinically, medically diagnosed depressed, but I also know how to have fun and, to share with my audience as well. Like, some days ain't good. Like, I'll post, today's not a good day. This is what I did. Mm-hmm. What are some things that you do, just to get people mind to thinking like, oh, yeah, let me suggest this.
Right. And what about your podcast? Where can they find you and what night?
Yeah. So I relaunched the podcast. I say relaunch, but it's a whole new name. So I call it Khaos and Konvos, because this year has been chaotic, to say the least. Mm-hmm. So it's every Thursday night, live, 6 p.m., airing on YouTube. There'll be probably a few pre-recorded sessions. I'll probably, like Thanksgiving Day, I probably will do a pre-recorded one. And so Thursdays, you can see it live on YouTube. And then on Sundays, I'm going to start releasing just the audio version on Anchor. It'll be on Spotify, Apple, all of those platforms. But every Thursday, 6 p.m. Central Standard Time, I will be live in the YouTube studio, talking about something. And this is different for me because normally I just do interviews. Well, this time it was like, I want to talk. Like, I want to do some talking. So there'll still be guest interviews. I'll be inviting special guests on. But it's gonna be real, it's gonna be raw. And so it's really gonna see me in a different light because I'm like gonna be sharing all my business. So,
right.
you know, I really want people to know that you can still be a successful business owner and have something wrong with you. You can still do it.
Still can do it. That's reality. And I like that it's your truth.
Yes.
And that's all that matters.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, ladies, I hope this episode has inspired you. If you feel that you haven't been feeling right or you think something is going on, understand that it is okay to not be okay, but you also want to go out and get the help that you needed. I will be having LaKisha's information in the show notes. If you want to reach out to her, maybe we have a few more questions, maybe you're something you're afraid to ask, make sure you reach out to her. Everything that she has going on will be there. But until next week, I hope you guys have a great week.